Gaura
Govinda.
Bhakta
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Right. Please repeat after me. Om Jnanatimirandasya
Om
Om
Jnanatimirandasya
Gyanatimirandasya,
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Jnananjana
Nanjana
Shalakaya
Shalakaya,
Chakshurun Militanyena
Chakshuram
Chakshurunmilitam
Militam
Yena
Yena,
Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai
Tasmai
Shri
Sri
Guruve
Guruve Namaha.
Namaha.
I was born in the darkest ignorance,
Was born in the
Born in the
darkest
darkest
ignorance,
ignorance,
and my spiritual master opened my eyes
my
and my
spiritual
spiritual
master opened
master
my
opened
eyes
my eyes
with the torch of knowledge.
with the
with the
torch of
torch of
knowledge.
knowledge.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
I offer my
Offer my
respectful
respectful obeisances unto him.
unto him.
God. Thank you very much. Our host, Vaishnavi, and we want to thank her for her great services throughout. She's going to tell us where we are going to be looking. And we're getting right to the end of the book. Oh, it's kind of freaky, to be honest with you. Okay, and 74, is that correct?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. All right, so Bruce, allow me to just speak for Sanjay here. We're going back to him. We're leaving Krishna and Arjuna behind, believe it or not. But that sounds terrible, doesn't it? But we started with Sanjay, like he's in the second verse, and we kind of end with him. So here it is, Sanjaya Uvacha. Ityahang Vasudevasya Paratyasya Mahatmanaha Sangvadam Imam Aushrosam Adbhutam Aroma Harshanam. Translation. Sanjaya said, thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna. And so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. Chai, Hare Krishna. We can get, I'd say, about 3 people to read the purport, slow and clear, and a 4th person can read the verse one more time. All right? So, Vaishnavi, would you like to get us on?
Okay. Yes, Maharaj. Dhanraj, Manasi Ganga, Arjun Sakha,
Get somebody from Europe too. Don't forget them.
Namacharya,
All right. And then the 4th person?
Ravindra Swarup.
Oh, 2 people from Europe. All right. Okay, great. Prabhu's
Purport. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Dhritarashtra inquired from his secretary Sanjay, what happened on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? The entire study was related to the heart of Sanjaya by the grace of his spiritual master Vyasa. He thus explained the theme of the battlefield.
Thank you very much. Next person, nice and slow and clear.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Just go, Mataji, that's okay. Just go right into the reading, so we don't break up the continuity. Okay.
Okay.
Just go to the reading. We understand you're very humble, but go right in.
The conversation was wonderful because such an important conversation between two great souls had never taken place before and would not take place again. It was wonderful because the Supreme Personality of Godhead was speaking about himself and his energies to the living entity, Arjuna, a great devotee of the Lord.
Thank you. Next.
If we follow in the footsteps of Arjun to understand Krishna, then our life will be happy and successful. Sanjay realized this, and as he began to understand it, He related the conversation to Dhritarashtra. Now it is concluded that wherever there is Krishna and Arjun, there is victory.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. And then the last person will read for us the verse one more time.
Sanjay said, "Thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjun. And so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end."
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So as you can see, it's kind of, because we're going back to Sanjay, it means we're wrapping up. And I frankly thought of, like a wrap, my idea of a good wrap is you have a tortilla and you put in there some hummus in the middle, streak it down the middle, put some olives in there, some cherry tomatoes, baby spinach in there, artichokes if you have, put a little black salt. What am I missing? Avocado. Okay, and then you fold it once, you fold it again, you fold it underneath two ends, and then you have a wrap. So we are wrapping up here, and with Sanjay's help, I would just say that our philosophy always highlights the power of devotees. Sanjay is that devotee here who's helping us so much. If it wasn't for him, things would not be revealed. And he was actually empowered by his guru Vyasadeva to be able to see what's going on in the battlefield. Dhritarashtra did not have that privilege or opportunity to see. He was actually blind, but a neutral person like Sanjay was a transparent via medium for seeing this whole thing lay out, and I'm talking about Sanjay was able to see the millions and millions of people on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So this is pretty amazing. And many acharyas in the past have talked about, like when it's like a television set, or a screen, any kind of streaming that happens now. It's televised or videoed, filmed in one place, and at the same time, you can see it's on another side of the world. So we're lucky to be able to see from the beginning to end what's going on optically, and also vocally. We're able to hear the message. Of the two, probably the vocals are more important to hear what Krishna has to say, and also Arjuna, the kind of questions that he's asking. It's of vital importance. And so what is being said here? First of all, let's look at the verse of Sanjay speaking. I've heard the talk between the two great souls. Now, somebody wants to be fanatical. What? Krishna's not just a soul. He's not just a soul, but he is a soul. He's the perfect soul. And Arjuna, he is a bewildered soul. He becomes perfected, but Krishna is the supreme soul, Paramatma, and Arjuna is Atma. So Atma and our Paramatma have come together for a dialogue. And Atma is prone to be under illusion, whereas Paramatma cannot be under illusion. Let's see, I'm just looking at, we're talking about hair standing on end. That's a symptom of ecstasy. That one is really experiencing an incredible high, which is the case for Arjuna. And of course, Sanjay is just talking about himself. This is the most important dialogue that has ever taken place between two people. Yeah, very relevant, very relevant. And it is relevant to our situation. We can relate to somebody who's going through a nervous breakdown and now is being able to revive himself, gain confidence. Okay, those are some opening remarks, Prabhus. Perhaps somebody else has something they wish to bring up at this point in the form of a reflection or a question like that. All right. Okay, I'll just see what's going on here. See if anybody has something they want to say. Okay, well, this is a great moment.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna. This is Haripad Das.
Leave it to Haripad.
I have a question. Maharaj. Sorry, so Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra were in conversation, correct?
Yeah.
But they were not directly on the battlefield. Is that right?
No. Sanjay and Dhritarashtra were south of Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra is a flat land south of the Himalayas, right?
Okay.
And it was a very appropriate place, Kurukshetra, for having the battle because it was flat and there you've got horses and chariots.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's a place which is located between several sacred rivers. And so lots of yajnas and pujas went there. There's something very divine about that location.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the battle was determined would begin. And of course, it is a holy battle also. That's something to be considered. But they're quite some miles away or kilometers away from the scene of activity from the war.
So
Yeah.
where does Vyasadeva, where does he come into the picture here?
Well, he had offered, he's not in this segment of the Bhagavad Gita, or not in this part of the Mahabharata, but he does bless Sanjay. He was eager to receive,
Mm-hmm.
to be a conduit, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
for this information. He was happy to do that. And Dhritarashtra, was reluctant to take on this kind of thing. It would be too painful for him, to be honest with you. Just seeing what's happening in the battle. So Sanjay was doing a nice service here for not only Dhritarashtra, but for humanity. All of us are benefiting because of Sanjay's great services. All agreed to have this vision, this mystic vision. Thank you. Give it to me. I'm happy to have it. So Vyasadeva is very empowered. He's a great mystic. We're going to hear about how Krishna is a great mystic. And basically, the story, the wisdom that comes from the dialogue, it's a display of victory, which is really kind of the theme that's coming through here in the end. Where there is truth, there's going to be victory. Where there is falsehood, there's going to be failure. Perhaps that makes sense.
Okay, so if I understand, Vyasadeva is actually who the person who scribed this, who put it in text.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Vyasadeva is the one that was responsible for getting it written down, and Ganesh was the volunteer to be the scribe.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
If any of you ever have an opportunity, like say, I know Denny, he's good at looking at film sorting, finding things. If you look at the Mahabharata by Peter Brook, the way it opens up, and it's more, presented more like a play than a regular film, but it's beautifully done. Here's what happens. You have a boy, and I want to tell you this a little bit. So you'll all be excited to look it up to see if you can find it. Okay, so in the beginning, this beautiful Padavali kind of music. It opens up with that. A woman is singing, and you've got this young boy, maybe about 12, 13 years old. I'd say like puberty or a little beyond puberty. He's going through caves, and he's seeing, he's going through a place where a gambling match had taken place. He's going to places where there's been thrones and so on like that. And finally he goes over a little bit of a hump, and then he sees a man in meditation, full beard and everything like that, like a yogi, and the fire is crackling in front of him. And the young boy stands there to this old yogi, and the old yogi opens up his eyes, and then a conversation starts. The old man says, "Do you know how to write?" To the boy, says, "No." Oh no, he asks, "Why? Why?" "Well, I just finished putting together the history of mankind in a poem form, and I need someone to write it down." And the boy asks, "What's your poem about?" And he said, "It's about you." Is this me? "Yes, it's about you and your race and how humanity came about into this world." So it's just very intriguing how it opens up. So you have Vyasa there, and then they're having this conversation, and in comes Ganesh. And he says, "Is anybody looking for a scribe to write the history of mankind?" He says, "Oh, Ganesh." And then they offer obeisances to him. And then he's got a big book, and he says, "Now, where do we begin?" He holds his pen like this, Ganesh. I said, "Well, first of all, let's start with myself. This book is about you." And just the way it rolls out the conversation is so beautiful. You really have to see what they've done, So I'm encouraging you all to have a look at the Mahabharata by Peter Brook. And there are some parts that might be a little disappointing. The guy who plays Krishna, he's a good actor, but he doesn't look like Krishna. He looks a little homely, I think they did a nice
Is this
job.
on?
And all the actors are international actors. Like Bhishma's played by somebody from the Caribbean. He's like an African guy. Karn is also played by an African guy, big build guy. And Kundi is she's also African, very motherly type. And Draupadi, she's played by a noted Indian dancer, and Yudhishthir is played by a European guy. I'm trying to think, Polish, Polish Yudhishthir. And Arjun is an Italian guy. Drona, very appropriately, he's played by a Chinese guy, a martial arts guy. So it's really, when you got to listen to the words to really enjoy it and the way it's played out. Now, what Peter Brook does, he doesn't play on special effects. And that's the beauty of this production. Like we're used to, I want some action. It's really more about words, the intelligence that comes out of it all. And it's beautifully rendered, in my opinion, honestly, And so it's not like a whole Indian cast. What Peter Brook was saying is that every race comes from this story. So to me, it's brilliant, that we all come. This is our history. All right. So
And Maharaj,
yes.
that Peter Brook Mahabharata, it's on YouTube. Is it available on YouTube?
You will have to look it up, my dear sir.
Okay.
I think you'll get it. You'll get little pieces of it here and there, but all in all, I think it's about 6 hours long. And if you see the original production, I think it was 9 hours. You'd have to go to a theater was presented in New York and LA and France, probably London too. And you'd have to go for several days in a row to catch the whole story.
I think 9 days or something. I think I have the cassette.
Uh-huh.
The group.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they had
It's
that. It
good
was
to
very
look at.
beautiful because it was in firelight and firelight instead of an open air theater. So
Yeah, yeah, it was actually all filmed in a massive warehouse somewhere in Paris.
mm,
And they just put the props in there to give the feel that they're outside or they're inside. Like, you know, it's really like Peter Brook is a minimalist. You know, he didn't play high on lavish backdrops or anything like that. He was more for just getting the message out.
I think we'll
All
watch
right.
it again because just now I think I've forgotten. I watched it some 30 years ago when it came out. So,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
It was on one
it
of
was
those
beautiful.
TV stations where they do educational programs.
Yeah,
you know?
PBS.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I got off on a tangent here. I just got so excited about describing this. You can move your chair a little closer, or if I can bring your chair. Okay, I've got somebody here with me. His name is Love. We gave him the name Love, like Love and Kush, you know, the two sons of Ram. And we can't see you. So, and he's from Cuba. Woo! He's from Cuba.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Bruce. Any other questions or comments, reflections? Okay, based on what we've got here. If you want to talk about hair standing on end, I don't think anything that's related to. Looks like everybody maybe wants to go to the next shloka. As you can see, I'm trying to stall a little bit here. Okay, let's do it. 75. Let's get someone to do the Sanskrit, a second person to read the English. We've got 3/4 of a page, so we can get about almost everyone to read a part. Will you line us up there, Vaishnavi, please?
So, Arjuna, are you able to read? Arjun Sakha, are you able to read? Gurudas, Vasanta.
Yeah. Should I read the Sanskrit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Vyasa prasadat shrutavan etad gokhyam aham param yogam yogeshwarat krishnat sakshat katayatah swayam. Hare Krishna.
Okay, I'll read the translation. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna.
Okay, great.
Purport: Vyasa was the spiritual master of Sanjaya, and Sanjay admits that it was by Vyasa's mercy that he could understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that one has to understand Krishna not directly but through the medium of the spiritual master. The spiritual master.
The spiritual master is the transparent medium, although it is true that the experience is still direct. This is the mystery of the disciplic succession. When the spiritual master is bona fide, then one can hear the Bhagavad Gita directly, as Arjuna heard it.
Okay, great. Then someone else, please.
There are many mystics and yogis all over the world, but Krishna is the master of all yoga systems. Krishna's instruction is explicitly stated in Bhagavad Gita, surrender unto Krishna. One who does so is the topmost yogi. This is confirmed in the last verse of the 6th chapter, Yoginam api sarvesham.
Very good. Thank you. Next. Some volunteers?
Punertai?
I'll do it.
Okay, go.
Narada is a direct disciple of Krishna and the spiritual master of Vyasa. Therefore, Vyasa is as bona fide as Arjun because he comes in the disciplic cessation. And Sanjay is a direct disciple of Vyasa. Therefore, by the grace of Vyasa, Sanjay's senses were purified and he could see and hear Krishna directly. One who directly hears Krishna can understand this confidential knowledge. If one does not come to the disciplic cessation, he cannot hear Krishna. Therefore, his knowledge is always imperfect, at least as far as understanding Bhagavad Gita is concerned.
Yeah, very good. And I've got Love Prabhu here to read the next little section. Go ahead.
In Bhagavad Gita, all the yoga systems, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga are explained. Krishna is the master of all such mysticism. This to be understood, however, that as Arjuna was fortunate enough to understand Krishna directly, so by the grace of Vyasa, Sanjaya was also able to hear Krishna directly. Actually, there is no difference between hearing directly from Krishna and hearing directly from Krishna via a bona fide spiritual master like Vyasa. The spiritual master is the representative of Vyasadeva also. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, on the birthday of the spiritual master, the disciples conduct the ceremony called Vyasa Puja.
Jai Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for all the leaders and all the listeners to this verse here as we're slowly trailing along to the end of the Gita. Okay, so Haripada brought up the point about Vyas. Where does he come in? Well, he's around. Vyas gets around. He's around, and it's expressed here by the mercy. Vyas means Vyasadeva, and prasadat. Everybody knows prasada means mercy, right? When you eat food that's offered to Krishna, it becomes prasada. That means it's blessed or consecrated, so you get benefit from it. Okay. So Sanjay is giving credit to the Guru for helping him to have heard all of this conversation, and to have seen everything as well. You know, the universal form is also described in detail, you know, so chapter 11 is like quite something quite amazing. So we're talking about Krishna here. Let's see with the word, yeah, Krishna, the word Krishna is used categorically here in this verse, because you may wonder, mostly it's Bhagavan that they use, which translates by Prabhupada as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But this is one of the fewer places where the word Krishna appears in the entire Bhagavad Gita. He's mentioned here as being the master of mysticism. It's going to come up again at the last verse. And yeah, it's these two great people that have a good conversation with each other. They're not feeling lonely. They were having a good time in this dialogue. It was deep. The conversation was deep and rich, and speaks to all people crossing all borders. It's the dialogue is of a transcendent nature. It's not to do with the mundane world. It is about overcoming the three modes. Nishtragunya Pavarjana. Traigunya Vishya Veda Nishtraigunya Paparjana means that Krishna saying, let's go beyond the three modes of nature. Let's explore that which is greater than matter. Let's explore what is spirit. So that's what I want to say about that. Anybody have any questions or reflections on that?
Maharaj, I have a question.
Yeah, nice to have you on board again.
Hare Krishna. A little bit late, but I made it.
You did.
In this verse, Srila Prabhupada translates the word yogam as mysticism.
Mhm.
But in the West, in the Western world, and especially in the Western religious traditions, mysticism has a very specific meaning.
Mhm.
It's not related to, floating in the air or living inside the water or, all these mystic yogas that sometimes we mention. But mysticism has got to do a lot with religious experience.
Mhm.
And they have, I've been doing some reading about this because, like I told you before, I'm giving some lectures in South America, and the topic came, South Americans are very Catholic. They come from very Catholic backgrounds.
Yes, that's
And
right.
mysticism in the West has been basically experienced in the Catholic tradition, especially in Europe.
Mhm.
So I was wondering how Srila Prabhupada uses the word mysticism, or basically Krishna actually uses, the word yoga, and Prabhupada translates it as mysticism. Now, Prabhupada doesn't do this all the time. He doesn't translate the word yoga as mysticism all the time, only very few times in the Gita. We're talking about Bhagavad Gita. He also translates in the Bhagavatam whenever but I was wondering, what's our take in this con when we say mystic yoga, mystic this, mystic that, and we usually reduce the meaning to just, some kind of yogic power making an apple appear on the hand, or surviving inside the water, or flying in the air, whatever.
Yeah,
What's your
flying
take on
magic
this?
carpet. Well, with the Sanskrit language, there's some license, to it's very stretchable, if I can use that term. Certain words are in a general term definition of yoga. Usually, we refer to reconnect
Right.
with the divine, with the spiritual powers, and it's not to do with anything mundane, Of course, now, when people say, I'm taking some yoga class, and then when you hear that, oh, you mean you're going to go and you're going to wear tight black clothes and you stretch your body around, and no, that's not what we're really talking about. Yoga can mean asanas. It's a small component. It can also refer to another component to yoga as learning how to breathe properly, learning how to sit properly, learning how to breathe properly, because most people don't do that. Why is it the Prabhupada said, sit properly when you listen to the tape, the japa tape?
That's
Sit
right.
properly. He was trying to encourage the proper asana. So that, yeah, yoga is to mean something a little different here, something out of the ordinary, right? Something supernatural, something extraordinary, something miraculous, even, right?
Right.
So a miracle, I think, is what we kind of have to look at, that it's beyond psychic phenomena and it's beyond what meets the eye. When we talk about Krishna, we always have to refer to somebody who is not of this world. He's of a transcendent nature. I appreciate you bringing up this topic, this looking at the words and translations that Prabhupada's using. If you take note here in 75, mysticism is described, Yogeshwarat, it's mentioned. And the last verse we come to the word again, Yogeshwara, a
Yeah.
different tense, you know. So Krishna's not just a yogi, he's beyond that. And I think that would just be my take on it, mysticism.
So I mean, the last few synonyms that you used, yeah, I think it puts it in the context of what, you know, the Western religious tradition also kind of goes the same way that you just said.
Mhm.
You know, like in the Iberian Peninsula, for example, you have Saint John of the Cross and Saint Teresa of Avila use the same kind of language you're using, actually. You know, it's an experience that it goes beyond the body, basically. That's what they're saying.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's an experience that transcends the body or the bodily sense perception. And I think that's kind of more attuned with our connotations about spiritual life. I mean, our spiritual life, I think, is quite because, first of all, just being a self-control, just controlling the senses by themselves is, I think, is the first step in a mystical experience of the devotees.
Mhm.
Because
What-
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when we're talking about spiritual life, we're talking about kind of like two phases, right? One is where you're following some directives, right?
Right,
The term you're following some sadhana, and then later on there's experience
right,
that follows succeeds the rules. You know, it's not rules and regulations anymore. In the beginning it is, you know? And then you have what's called raganuga, you know.
right,
First is called Vaidhi Bhakti. That means you follow this, you know, step 1, 2, 3, and you go along the line. And you follow regulation. Regulated life is something Prabhupada very much encouraged upon us in the beginning. But then later on, you're supposed to step over a line and have some taste out of this, some ruchi, you know, some pleasurable experience. Usually it's pleasurable. Or in Arjuna was having an experience by seeing the universal form. Definitely was an experience.
that is mystical, isn't it? A mystical experience.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, some people who study the Torah, for instance, you know, there's elements of mysticism there, you know,
Right.
the old biblical teachings. There's a lot
Yeah,
of
I think they get the Kabbalah from the Torah.
yeah,
The Kabbalah is the mystical writings of the ancient rabbis.
that's right. Yeah.
I think
So
Yeah, so there's like two components there, at least, you know. You've got some rules, you got to go by the book, and you just have to be a follower. But then at some point, apart from just following, you're a feeler, you know,
right.
follower, feeler, you know. And it's supposed to get to the point where love is supposed to kick in, love for the absolute, not mundane love, but a different kind of love.
Now you use that word ruchi. So that ruchi is really what keeps devotees alive on the path of bhakti, because without taste, how can people keep going and, you know, day after day, year after year, decade after decade, if there is no ruchi?
That's right. Yeah, you keep taking ice cream because the taste is so good, right? And you keep going back to it, you know. Even as an older person, oh, I want to go to the Dairy Queen. You know, we haven't had something there like Dairy Queen for quite some time, and it's rich and it's thick and it's sweet and it's yummy, and it even makes you want to be a little bit sleepy, a little bit of time. It's a beautiful sedative. You know, and you keep going back to it because of the taste that was there. Yeah.
Right.
I would say one thing, that the reason why sadhana bhakti is so important for us, that means following rules and regulations, because you're in a safety net. You know, you feel safe and secure, having a regulated life, as opposed to the whimsical lifestyle of many people in the secular world. They're very regulated by going to the bar, but once you're at the bar and you take some of those drinks, you start to, your mind goes wild, you're just all over the place, you're everywhere. It's an experience, yes, but a very self-destructive one. And for booze, all of you on this call, you know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very much feeling this, bhava, love for the Lord. It was very deep. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go through his ecstasies, and people would watch him. People would watch him. At that time, the Hindus and the Muslims were coexisting. And even the Muslims were looking at him. He's a tall guy, very, photogenic. And they felt that he was very genuine in expressing himself and what he was going through. What everybody would love to have.
I think that's a very good point, because a lot of the times we think that yoga is a very heartless, emotionless state of existence. We depict the yogis, living alone under a tree, very skinny, not eating, not doing this, not doing that. But actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was highly emotional.
Yes.
Towards he was a great scholar. Being Bhagavan himself, great scholar, great preacher. But once he took sannyas, and once he was kind of withdrawn from much social interaction, which he had for a while, then he went into this emotional fits that completely imbaba, like you were saying. So,
Yeah.
of course, we don't imitate, but we're also expected to develop. Are we expected to develop some emotions for the Lord and for the devotees, isn't it?
Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu definitely demonstrated these high levels of feelings of separation. And, he kind of almost left the teachings behind, the rules and regulations behind him, because he had entered onto a new platform, a new plateau. And that was, I'm feeling it. I'm with God. Yeah, that's where it's supposed to come to for most of us. The rules are put behind, and what takes over is love. All you need is love. I knew Jenny would
You
laugh.
should remember.
Oh yeah, of course, hardly anybody understands love on the platform that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But that's what we want. People who go through romantic love, they also get disappointed after a while, isn't it?
Big time.
And then some people say, okay, well, I have loved this one person, but I just want to try somebody else. It might be different, it might be higher. And so they continue, multiple relationships may come about, but it's all really the same thing. And it drains people, So, of course, once you've had those experiences, you don't have any energy left to approach God. You've been zapped out.
Yeah.
So I think we need to start with the rules early in our life. And what's so nice about Krishna is we can tell, just like we have Guru Das there, he's telling his son about Krishna. And it's very appealing to a little kid, And then after, to get a little more serious, the next step, first you give them a feeling, the kids a feeling. Then later, as they get a little more mature and they learn a life of discipline, you give them just that. You give them some rules to follow. And those rules are to be followed throughout. And then finally, in the end, you're going to become a kid again, but a kid with experience now. Innocence has dropped. All right.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Anybody? Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate you. We're sticking to the verse, we're sticking to the words, which is important. Now, we'd like to hear from others. We will do a takeaway at the end, but we have a good 5 minutes to hear from your reflections.
Maharaj, I actually have to go. I got to go get my granddaughter from her after school thing. But
Jai ho.
I just wanted to let you know I look forward for another email from you, I'm sure. But I enjoyed the class, and I really enjoyed the last 10 minutes with you and Prabhu talking. That was beautiful.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that was
good.
beautiful.
Thank you very much. You have a safe drive.
Thank you.
Ride. Okay, there's crazy drivers out there, just to remind you.
Oh yeah, especially I live in the city, so it's even she lives in the city. I actually live in the country, but, but all right, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Haribol. Okay, now I'm we were talking a little bit about that video production, but done by our dear Peter Brook, who's an Englishman, and he had a fascination about Mahabharata. So we've got two people on the call today that I hopes that we can do a nice project down the road and portray Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in ecstasy, and also dealing with a person who was not very mature. His name's Ramachandra Puri, and he was just into rules and regulations. He had a character like Durvasa Muni, all about regulations, and stipulations, not much to do with real feeling and like kindness and all those kind of things are supposed to come out from your religious practices. Let's put it this way. You follow religious discipline and you can't be friendly with people and you can't be kind. What kind of religion is that? What kind of faith is that? It's not to do with religion. Don't give religion a bad name. And that's what's happened a lot of times. And in the current world that we live in, religious communities, they do a lot of good too. They're good on promoting the family unit. There's a lot of politeness amongst them. But oftentimes, one of the worst things that evolves or devolves from religiosity is that we are better than everyone else. We are better. It's us and them kind of mentality. You do have to have some of that. That needs to be there. I mean, chapter 16 is about us and them. Divine, demonic, right? But yeah, Ananta Shesha is saying, it's good to integrate into the society a little bit. Yeah, that's right. But it is a little bit like we've got Maya, it's kind of all around us. And devotees end up going to the Walmart just like anybody else. But we have to, it's a little bit like Prabhupada gave the example, it's like going fishing. When you put the line out, you wait, and if there's a jerk suddenly, then you reel the fish in. Now, while you're going through that process, you don't want to get pulled in. Maybe he's a big fish. And so Prabhupada put it like this in a letter. It is like going fishing. Just make sure you don't get wet. Right? So if devotees are doing business, to raise money for their upkeep, family and all that, you can deal with dollars and cents and so on like that. Just make sure you don't get overwhelmed by all that money, right? It can go to people's heads, just like position can go to people's heads. So we want to be careful about those things. All right. Let's do some takeaways. The challenge today, 3 words, not 4, 3 words. So we're asking you to summarize, what we discussed just in this last hour and put it to 3 words, okay? Like bullet points, are they bullet points are there? Easier to remember bullet points than a long essay. All right, good. So Vaishnavi, would you like to start?
Okay. Dhanraj, would you like to go first?
Krishna gives ecstasy.
Okay, all right, 3 words.
And Gurdas.
Krishna via Guru.
Krishna via Guru.
Mansi Ganga.
Follow Krishna's instructions.
Follow Krishna's restrictions.
Instructions.
Word. Is that prescription?
Instructions.
Instructions.
Ravindra Swarup.
Love transcends rules.
Love transcends rules. Excellent. Loved it. It always comes up with something mystical.
Arjuna.
Go beyond matter.
Go beyond matter. Very good.
Arjun Sakha.
Hear from Guru.
Hear from Guru. Yeah.
Haripad.
Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Very good. Tricky.
Acharya.
Guru shows Krishna.
Guru shows Krishna.
Punerdai.
Oh,
Lord Krishna, Narada is the direct disciple of Krishna.
Okay, could you say that again? Just a little more slowly.
Narada is the direct disciple of Krishna.
Narada. Disciple. Krishna's disciple Narada. All right, good.
Vasant.
Peter Brook, Mahabharata.
Okay. All right, Krishna. That's good. All right.
Vasanta.
Blessed to hear Bhagavad Gita. Blessed to hear Bhagavad Gita. Blessed to hear.
Okay, very nice. Yes. Good.
Jai Gaura Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Koloka Vrindavanam.
aye.
But we didn't catch it here on this end.
Koloka Vrindavanam.
Kaloka Vrindavanam. All right.
Tribhuvaneshwari.
Krishna, Supreme Personality.
Krishna is. Okay. All right.
Dharma Prabhu. Dharma Prabhu.
I just joined late. I try to give information. Hear from disciplic succession.
Oh. Right.
Thank you, Maharaj.
I think Yugla Kishore Prabhu.
My turn.
Yeah.
Krishna is waiting for us.
Krishna is waiting for us. Oh, that's beyond. Krishna is waiting for us. That's
Well,
why
to have a mystical experience, we had to be in connection with the parampara, with Krishna. So he's waiting for us. He's waiting for the living entity, I should say.
Yeah, but can you narrow your thoughts down to 3 words? It's a discipline,
Krishna is waiting for us. That's 3. I mean, oh, I see you're saying. I did 4. Krishna waits for us.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Has everyone had a chance to say something?
I think so, except me.
So we've got 3 devotees who snuck in. We'll start with Uddhav. Sadhana before Raganuga. Yes, yep.
Yeah, good.
Overcome the guna.
Overcome the gunas. Yeah. Next.
Krishnam Vande Jagadguru.
Krishna.
Krishnam Vande
Jagadguru. Jagadguru.
Krishna is
Okay. Very good. We accept.
Vaishnavi Mataji, you got to say as well.
Hear from spiritual master.
Hear from spiritual master. Okay.
That's 4 words.
Yeah, I know.
Maharaj, I have a question on the purport to 18.74.
Okay.
So I think Prabhupada is writing, this conversation is wonderful because it will never be heard again. Okay, let me read it exactly. The conversation was wonderful because such an important conversation between 2 great souls had never taken place before and would not take place again.
Mhm.
So that's like quite pessimistic, Maharaj, right? What is your, I mean, can you say something about it? Because I feel like that conversation should happen again and again.
Well, it does in different periods, yeah. But for that time epoch, it was spoken that time, and it was spread or shared from that point on. But Krishna himself, he says, we're not saying he's contradicting himself necessarily. I come at different millennia, and I come to deliver people. And he told Lord too, many, many times I've become purified by knowledge. People have become purified by knowledge of me. So it's happened in the past. Krishna can remember, we can't remember our past. Yeah, but there's a great need in the Hare Krishna movement. We're always trying to encourage people to take it up, to take it seriously. And never give up. Okay. I think we've done okay. Bruce, we'll see you next week.
Vancha Kalpa.
Thank you,
Okay.
Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you,
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Let me know if you're able to find Peter Brooks' The Mahabharata.
Jai.
All
Yes,
right.
Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Vaishnavi
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.